Video 21, Part 19C of 25, Outputs from the Plan Risk Management Process. The purpose of this video is to develop a WBS to present the deliverables from the Plan Risk Management Process. The Plan Risk Management Process is the first process in the Project Risk Management knowledge area and is related to the Planning Process group. Please click the like button. Subscribe to my channel and share with others. Thank you. How important is the risk management plan output in the plan risk management process? The output of the plan risk management process, which is risk management plan, is not just important. It is critically important and foundational. Think of it this way: you wouldn't start building a house without a blueprint. Similarly, you cannot effectively manage project risks without a risk management plan. The risk management plan is the project's constitution for all risk-related activities. It doesn't identify individual risks. Instead, it defines how risk management will be conducted for the entire project. It sets the rules, roles, and responsibilities that the project team will follow. The detailed breakdown of its importance is presented now. 1. It provides a proactive and structured framework. Without a risk management plan, risk management is reactive and ad hoc. The risk management plan forces the project team to think through the who, what, when, how, and how much of risk management before issues arise. This transforms risk management from a firefighting exercise into a strategic, proactive discipline. 2. It establishes clear roles and responsibilities. The risk management plan answers crucial questions. First, who is responsible for identifying risks? Second, who will lead qualitative and quantitative analysis? Third, who has the authority to make risk response decisions? Fourth, who will track and monitor risks? Fifth, what is the project manager's role versus the project sponsor's role versus the team's role? This clarity prevents confusion and ensures accountability. 3. It defines the methodology and tools. The risk management plan standardizes how things are done, ensuring consistency across the project. It specifies, first, risk categories, using a PESTLE, TECOP, or a simple risk breakdown structure to ensure all areas are considered. Second, risk probability and impact matrix. Defining the scales for probability and impact, such as 1 to 5 scale or very high to very low, and how to interpret them. This is essential for prioritizing risks. Third, tools and techniques. Which techniques will be used for analysis, such as Monte Carlo simulation, Delphi technique, or SWOT analysis? 4. It allocates resources and budget. The risk management plan explicitly defines the risk budget, which includes, first, contingency reserves, the budget for known unknowns, allocated for specific risks that have been identified and analyzed. Second, management reserves, the budget for unknown unknowns, controlled at the program or portfolio level. By planning for these reserves, the risk management plan ensures that funds are available to handle risks without derailing the project's financials. 5. It sets communication and reporting expectations. The risk management plan dictates the risk rhythm of the project as follows. First, reporting formats. What do risk reports look like? What information is included in the risk register? Second, meeting frequency. How often will risk review meetings be held? Third, stakeholder communication. How will risk information be communicated to different stakeholders, such as team members, sponsors, and clients? This ensures the right people get the right risk information at the right time. 6. It manages stakeholder expectations. By creating the risk management plan in collaboration with key stakeholders, you align everyone on the project's risk appetite. In other words, how much risk are we willing to take? And risk tolerance. In other words, what level of variation are we willing to accept? This alignment is crucial for making consistent and supported decisions later. 7. It is a mandatory input for subsequent processes. From a pure process perspective, the risk management plan is a direct input to every other risk management process, as follows. First, identify risks. Second, perform qualitative risk analysis. Third, perform quantitative risk analysis. Fourth, plan risk responses. Fifth, implement risk responses. Sixth, monitor risks. You cannot perform these subsequent processes effectively without the guiding principles laid out in the risk management plan. How can a poor risk management plan output harm the plan risk management process? This is a logical and critical follow-up question. A poor risk management plan output doesn't just make the plan risk management process itself ineffective. It fundamentally corrupts every subsequent risk-related activity in the project. Think of the risk management plan as the foundation and architectural blueprint for a building. A poor blueprint doesn't just mean the planning phase was messy. It means the entire structure built upon it is inherently flawed and dangerous. Here's how a poor risk management plan output specifically harms the overall plan risk management process and the project's entire risk management effort. 1. It creates chaos in identification and analysis. The plan risk management process is meant to establish order. A poor risk management plan sabotages this goal as follows. First, unclear risk categories. Without a defined risk breakdown structure, the team will identify risks in a disorganized manner. They might focus only on technical risks while completely ignoring external, legal, or strategic risks, leaving massive blind spots. Second, inconsistent scoring. Without a clearly defined probability and impact matrix, such as what exactly constitutes a high impact on cost versus schedule. One team member's minor risk is another's catastrophic risk. This makes it impossible to objectively prioritize risks. So the team may waste time on trivial issues while missing major threats. 2. It leads to ambiguity in roles and responsibilities. A core purpose of the plan risk management process is to assign accountability. A poor risk management plan makes accountability vanish. As follows. First, the somebody else's problem effect. If the risk management plan doesn't specify who is responsible for risk responses, identified risks will languish in the register with no owner. No one will feel responsible for implementing mitigation strategies. Second, decision-making gridlock. Without clear escalation paths, when a major risk occurs, the team won't know who has the authority to make a critical decision, such as to spend contingency reserves. This delay can turn a manageable issue into a full-blown crisis. 3. It results in inadequate or misallocated resources. The plan risk management process is where you decide how much to invest in managing risk. A poor risk management plan makes this investment futile, as follows. First, no contingency reserves. A poor risk management plan may fail to establish a method for calculating contingency reserves, such as not mandating Monte Carlo simulations. As a result, the project budget may have no buffer for risks, meaning any unexpected issue will cause a budget overrun. Second, wasted effort. Conversely, without a clear methodology, the team might spend an excessive amount of time and money on elaborate quantitative analysis for a small, simple project, which is a clear misallocation of resources. 4. It breaks the communication and monitoring framework. The plan risk management process sets up the rhythm for risk management. A poor risk management plan ensures there is no rhythm, as follows. First, no reporting structure. Without defined reporting formats and frequencies, risk status becomes ad hoc. Key stakeholders, like the sponsor, may be unaware of escalating threats until it's too late. Second, ineffective monitoring. If the risk management plan doesn't specify how often to review the risk register or what trigger conditions to look for, the monitor risks process becomes a meaningless, box-ticking exercise instead of an active vigilance system. 5. It fosters a reactive, not proactive, culture. The ultimate goal of the plan risk management process is to instill a proactive mindset. A poor risk management plan guarantees a reactive one, as follows. First, firefighting mode. The project team will spend its time responding to emergencies that could have been foreseen and mitigated. This is demoralizing, inefficient, and expensive. Second, stakeholder mistrust. When risks consistently materialize and harm the project, stakeholders lose confidence in the project team's ability to deliver. This damage to reputation and trust is often more costly than the budget overruns themselves. In conclusion, a poor risk management plan output doesn't just represent a failure of the plan risk management process, it invalidates the entire purpose of the process. It transforms a strategic, proactive discipline into a disorganized, reactive scramble. The plan itself becomes a shelfware document, created to satisfy a checklist requirement but utterly useless in guiding the project through uncertainty. The project is left vulnerable, operating on hope rather than prepared strategy, and is far more likely to fail to meet its objectives. As a final message, the risk management plan output is not merely a nice-to-have document. It is the single most important output of the plan risk management process. It is the foundational document that elevates risk management from an informal, reactive task to a formal, proactive, and integral part of project governance. Skipping or rushing this process guarantees that risk management will be inefficient, inconsistent, and ultimately, less effective, putting the project's objectives in jeopardy. This video is finished, but we will have in the next videos. 1. Creation of WBS for different projects using WBS Schedule Pro. 2. Examples of project plans using MS Project. And many more videos. Don't forget to give a thumbs up if you like this video and want us to continue with new topics. Subscribe to the channel. All content is free. You can also comment suggesting topics you would like to see on this channel. Thank you.